Good morning, elementary. It's time for another science lesson with Mr. Carl. It's been really nice weather out, so I hope you've been able to get outside even for a little bit. And if you haven't, well, you're going to have a reason to now. So let's get started. Here's the part where you get to go outside. You're going to go and look for 3 identical plants if possible. Now, they don't have to be exactly the same. In the case of my example, I'm actually showing you how I picked 2 that were the same and 1 was actually different. And that's okay for this experiment. But if you can find 3 that are exactly the same, even better. My only recommendation is to try not to pick weeds, especially like dandelions, you know, the yellow ones that are so tempting to pick and they grow like crazy. Yeah, you don't want to use those. But if you go on a trail, if you go in your backyard, there's lots of different places you can go. And because we had some pretty decent weather lately, there's been things sprouting and growing out of the ground. Again, try to find a plant with some that has petals, like a flowering plant, if you will. I'll show you in this box right here what I mean. 2 of them are identical and 1 is different, and that's okay. Take a look at the first plant all the way to the right. It has the plant in there, it's inside a glass, but if you look really close, there's actually no water. So this plant is getting plenty of sunlight, but it has no water. Now let's take a look in the middle. The middle plant is sitting in the same glass, and it has plenty of water, and it's also receiving plenty of sunlight. And we're going to go to our last one on the far left. This one is receiving water, but we're going to put this cover over it and it's going to receive no light, no sunlight at all. And let's see what happens after 1 or 2 hours. After just 1 hour, let's take a look at our results. The plant on the far right, this one is receiving plenty of sunlight but has no water in the cup. Look at that. Compared to the original, it's already wilted over and it's only been 1 hour. The middle plant, the one that's receiving sunlight and has plenty of water, looks like it's doing quite well. Looks exactly the way it did an hour ago. And lastly, let's take a look at our plant that has water but is not receiving any sunlight. Look at that. Also very much wilted over. Looks very sad. So, from what I can tell here, sunlight is very important, and so is water. And actually, looking at how both plants are in almost the exact same state, both are wilted over, actually just about the same amount, I would say that water and sunlight are equally important to a plant's growth. So there's a couple different ways you can change it up in this experiment or do what's called a variation. One, you can keep using different plants each time. So for the first one, you could use 3 different types of tulips in the same cups. Maybe the next day you can do 3 different kinds of carnations. You can do all different kinds of plants. They don't have to be store-bought, although you can do that. I actually got out to a nature preserve and got to look for some flowers to pick. That was actually pretty fun to do. The other option is to change the amount of time that the plants are in their different situations. So we only did this and I showed you what happened after 1 hour. Well, maybe try it after 2 hours, 3 hours, or even overnight. So if you can, take a picture of it at the start and then compare it to your finish time and see how they differ.